How you doing, folks? Welcome back to another episode of Hot Takes. I am your host, Marcus, and there's a lot to get into right now because the basketball world is exploding right now as the NBA playoffs have not only started and gotten underway, but we're starting to see how the next round is starting to fill out. Now, as you can see here on your screen, we have the full bracket. Amazingly, let's start in the East. Amazingly, somehow, the Washington Wizards did not get swept by the Philadelphia 76ers. And this is just my personal belief, and I'm gonna say this one time. The 76ers are entirely too good of a team to lose even one game to the Wizards. I understand that Bradley Beal has a great offensive arsenal, and he's able to score as many points as you can count. I understand that Russell Westbrook has missed a triple-double himself. He has now got that moniker because this is his fourth out of the last 5 seasons averaging a triple-double. So I understand what they bring to the table. And so, yes, I would say be nice, give them a game, but they're not a full-blown unit the way the 76ers ought to be at this given point. And what I will say is, at some point, and 76ers fans are going to absolutely slaughter me for this, but this is what I'm here for. Ben Simmons will be the reason that his team does not win a championship if he does not change the way he plays. It is great for him to be the ball handler. It is great for him to have the assist he has. Here's the problem, though. He averages a double-double or close to a triple-double, but his progression doesn't get any better. I'm not going to harp on the fact that he doesn't like to shoot the ball. We all know that. That's obvious at this point. So there's no point in getting on that. But if he doesn't learn how to take the game over when it's necessary, really learn how to play with Joel Embiid properly. I mean, no one respects his jump shot. And I'm not even going to say he can't shoot. The problem is he won't shoot. I've seen him shoot in practice. He can legitimately shoot. Is it a confidence thing? I'm not entirely sure. But he's going to have to take the offensive at some point and stretch his game out. He's going to have to shoot from the perimeter. He's going to have to do more than just take you off the dribble and go straight to the hole. We know he can do that. He's 6'10", blah, blah, blah. He will be the reason they don't win. It's plain and simple. If I was the 76ers, I would seriously consider moving on from Ben Simmons after this season, maybe next season. There's no point in keeping him and Joel Embiid. What you have to do is, you know what Joel Embiid is. He is an MVP caliber player right now. You have to maximize his potential and get all you can out of him. He's a 7-footer who can stretch the floor, plays dominant in the paint, and is a defensive dynamo. You have to get as much as you can out of him while you can. He can get you a championship. You just got to help him get there. Ben Simmons is a great ball handler, but he doesn't do much else great. And the weird thing is, there's so much in him. I don't understand what it's going to take to tap that untapped potential. I don't know what it's going to take. So that's where I'll leave that one. Now, last week I did say that I believe that the first, if not the only team. Well, not team, but series that's going to go 7 games, and I might be wrong. I'm hoping that I'm hoping that Game 5 is different as of this recording, because Game 5 will be, I believe, the next day, which will be Wednesday the 9th if this is airing. I need the Knicks to pull off another win. I need them to push for 7 games. I said they would go 7 games, and I said Atlanta was going to win, but I don't need the Knicks. Listen, I'm not a Knicks fan, but I do cheer for the underdogs here. Now, in this situation, you can't really tell who the underdog is, but in this case, the Knicks are the underdog. They weren't expected to be here this year, let alone to be the 4th seed. Atlanta, they're an underdog themselves because you don't see them getting too much further in the second round because they're playing the Knicks. At the same time, you have to take into consideration the Knicks just got here for the first time. I expected them to fold, but not like a lawn chair. This is beyond me. I believe in the ability of Julius Randle, but he has played like trash the last couple of games. Now, I don't like saying that, but he has not played well. And I believe he was overdue for a couple of bad games, but I need him to bounce back for Game 5 in Madison Square Garden. I need him to go ahead and pull up and just be that guy again, okay? They did not do well in Atlanta at all. Just bounce back. Find a way to bounce back. Him and Derrick Rose got to figure it out. The rest of the team got to figure it out. It's going to have to happen. Now, I didn't want to get to this right now, and I'll get to it again later. I'm just going to mention it quickly. I am a Miami Heat fan, so I do feel a bit deflated. I fully expected us to lose this series, honestly, but not get swept. That being said, I believe that now that we've been swept, and this is the first time an Eric Spoelstra team has ever been swept. Just forget about the first round, swept in general. To play a series and not get a single victory is baffling. And I'm not gonna put it on the shoulders of everyone. I'm gonna put the blame here on the situation. Also, Jimmy Butler didn't play up to his potential. We saw what he was capable of when he got to the finals last year. We didn't see that this year. I don't know what happened. Maybe it was just a culmination of this entire season coming up. I mean, personally, if you ask me, the trade for Victor Oladipo really hurt us in a serious way. I was, even though I am not an official member of the Miami Heat organization, even though I am just a fan, I like to put my GM hat on all the time. And when we made the trade for Victor Oladipo from Houston, I wasn't particular about it, knowing that he'd already expressed that he was probably coming to Miami in the offseason anyway. My thing was, why trade anything for him at all? We know he's coming, right? I understand the idea of maybe he'll change his mind. I get that, but I'm willing to take that gamble. If someone says they want to play for you, let them come to you. Let him duke it out in Houston for the year, and we see what that got us. He got hurt when he got here. He played a few games, and we ain't seen him since. Hopefully he'll be better, next year. I think he'll be sticking around. But to make that trade, we had to give up Kelly Olynyk. And everyone, far be it from me, people have a tendency, casual fans have a tendency to look past certain players because they're not the stars of the team, or they don't have that sexy style of game that catches your eye. But Kelly Olynyk has a very subtle way of affecting the game. He's a floor stretcher for a 7-footer. He's a floor stretcher and a decent perimeter defender. So he's a two-way player. And we lost a lot of that when we traded for Victor Oladipo. Yes, we need the guard? We absolutely did, because he can play high-level defense and he's capable of getting his own shot as well as creating for others. That was the bonus of having him come to the team. The problem was you don't want to lose any defense out of your bigs in the process. Bam Adebayo was already being stretched to his limits. He's running thin. We did pick up Dwayne Dedmon, but he ultimately had next to no effect. During that trade, we did pick up Trevor Ariza. I didn't understand that, as we already had Andre Iguodala. They virtually do the same thing. Not a whole lot of offense. They're here to play defense. That's cool and everything, but I don't need two players to do the exact same thing just because one's slightly older. To me, that didn't make any sense. There's going to be a lot of changes to this roster next season. And I'll get to that in just a moment. Well, not just a moment. I'll get that toward the end of the show. But yes, we couldn't eke out a single victory, and they seemed to get worse as the season, as the series went on. It just didn't get any better. As I got to a point where I didn't even want to watch. Broke my heart to see that happen to them. But, after they lost Game 3, I gave up, man. It wasn't worth it no more. Moving on, of course, like I said before, the winner of the Washington and Boston play-in game got the honor of getting stomped out by the Brooklyn Nets. Now, I did call this one correctly. They got it was a gentleman's sweep, a 5-game series. And I have to give all credit to Jason Tatum, who I believe it was game 3 or 4, I forget which one. He dropped 50 and got the dub. Impressive. He put the whole team on his back for one game and was able to eke out a single victory. The problem with that is that I'm not sure if that shows a chink in the armor of the Brooklyn Nets, or it's just they had an off night. Probably the latter. They probably just had an off night. But I've been saying all year long that team needs to learn how to play together, be cohesive, and without James Harden, I don't think it works, honestly. And with James Harden, we see it clearly is working. He is, if Kevin Durant is the best player on that team and Kyrie Irving is the offensive weapon, then I think of our franchise as if they were a car. Well, if Kevin is the engine and Kyrie is the brakes, then clearly James Harden, he got the keys. Without him, this offense don't run. And believe it or not, weirdly enough, because we always criticize him in Houston for not playing defense, he plays some pretty good defense in Brooklyn. So I have to give him all the credit in the world. He has shown up on the defensive end more than I ever expected him to. So that's amazing. But in the next round, they're going to be facing Giannis Antetokounmpo and the Bucks. So far, this is the only series that has come to an end as of this recording. I believe in Giannis. I like Giannis. But he's going to need everything that team in Milwaukee has. They're going to have to empty the bench to have a shot at beating the Brooklyn Nets. And that's simply because in the last game Brooklyn played against Boston, out of the 140 some odd points that the team put up, 104 came from between James Harden, Kevin Durant, and Kyrie Irving. That is a ridiculous amount of points. I don't care who you are. They put up over 100 points between 3 guys. It's a lot of points. Giannis can't do it so much on his own. Chris Middleton cannot fail to show up. Drew Holiday, gotta be there, bro. I hate to say this, but this could either be another gentleman's sweep or this can be 4-0 Brooklyn. Who knows? And let's go over to the West for a moment. This is an interesting scenario right here for me. So, I'm looking at the Utah Jazz and Memphis Grizzlies. Now, first and foremost, a lot of people would say that Memphis doesn't even belong here. Considering the way their team is built and the leadership they have right now, which is next to none unless you count Ja Morant himself, who is a very good young leader, I still think that team is lacking when it comes to veteran leadership. But the fact that they made the playoffs via the play-in is impressive. And they did get a victory against them. Unfortunately, we already knew it was going to happen. Utah was going to smoke them in the end. There's one more game left to play. Utah is going to take this. That's enough said. Unless Ja Morant somehow finds a way to get just pull off a 3-game upset, which I doubt it'll happen. It doesn't look good for Memphis right now. Now, this, in my opinion, is probably the most important series of the first round in general, because I made quite the bold prediction last week that if Dallas can make it to the finals, they're going to win the championship regardless of who their opponent is. And they have to get past the Clippers. And at first, it looked like they were going to sweep the Clippers. Even after the Clippers stole Game 3 in Dallas, it looked like the Clippers were going to still get beat. It was going to be a general sweep at that point. But no, they pulled off a second win in a row. Interesting. So now the series is tied. I need Luka Doncic, Kristaps Porzingis, and that whole Dallas Mavericks team to prove to me and to the world that they are capable of pulling off this upset. They weren't favored to win this series, by the way. I favored them because I just felt like this is Luka's year. In previous episodes, I did say that I believe that Luka Doncic, this should have been his year to make a run at the MVP. And I think that I think he started off really strong. I don't know, he fizzled out somewhere between them. Maybe the team didn't do well. And Luka has shown one thing that is a bit worrisome for him in the future. Hopefully he gets a hold on it very quickly. But he is very young, so he's got time to figure it out. But when he gets frustrated, he is easily taken out of his game. I mean, I think he was among the players with the highest amount of technical fouls this year. And that's because he loses his cool. I don't know what he says to the refs. I don't know what beefs he's having on the court with these players, but it's a lot of technical. So it's a whole lot of technical fouls he's accumulating here, and it's because he can't keep his cool. Cooler heads prevail under pressure. And I think someone needs to get in his ear about that. But as a Miami Heat fan, I am not only rooting for Dallas to win because I want Dallas to go far. I'm rooting for Dallas to win because, like I said, now I mentioned this a little earlier, there's going to be some changes to the Miami Heat roster next year. And Kawhi Leonard has a player option for next season. So as a Miami Heat fan, I'm kind of sort of hoping that the Clippers lose for the sake of my team's future. Understand this. The Clippers don't have a whole lot of draft capital going forward. It cost them quite a bit just to bring in Paul George when they acquired Kawhi Leonard. So they've limited themselves financially and with draft stock as being able to get any better. Pretty much what you see out of them now, they can't get much better. As a matter of fact, they were actually better the previous year. This year, they look like they're on struggle street. And, I mean, this should have been an easy thing. You know, they literally tanked these last couple games of the season so they wouldn't have to meet a team like, you know, so they wouldn't have to meet a team like Portland or or LA. They were trying their best to, take an easy route. I don't know who told them that was an easier route, but whatever. In the West, the playoffs are always real. So in a sense, I want them to lose because I'm kind of hoping that Kawhi Leonard opts out of the Clippers, given that situation, even though he's the main reason why they're in that situation. It would not be honorable for him to leave that situation, but because he created it. But he doesn't have to do any of that because he's got an option. And I would hope that he would think about coming to Miami only because of these few things. There's no in-state income taxes, so he gets to keep most of his money, if not all of it. He gets to keep the warm weather. He lives in California, but he's from California, but the warm weather is the weather is comparable to Miami, and it's a different brand of basketball, and our team is already kind of insulated and built. Now when I say a lot of changes, there are going to be some players leaving, and it's because of their inability to show up. We know Bam Adebayo was going to be safe. We know Jimmy Butler ain't going nowhere, and the only other player that I can think that's probably not going anywhere, who's for sure to be here with us, because I don't think they're going to trade him or anything. Well, they can't trade him. I got Victor Oladipo sticking around. The only other player who's probably going to be there, unless he decides to retire, will be the man I call OG. I call him OG-UD. That's Udonis Haslem. He spent pretty much his whole life in the Miami area. I mean, he's from that area. He went to school in that area. He played his whole professional career in that area. So, I mean, unless Udonis Haslem decides to call it quits, he'll be back next year too. Everyone else, kind of on the line. Goran Dragic, I'm not sure if he's going to be around next year. As much as I love Tyler Hero, he might be on the trading block now. Now, if I'm the GM, I'm being nice. He's got one more year to prove that his rookie year wasn't simply, a flash in the pan. Because I'm calling this year something that players you don't see out of a lot of them anymore. A lot of players don't have sophomore slumps anymore, Or used to call it hitting the rookie wall, and then there was a sophomore slump. You would have a good half of the rookie season, and then you would hit a wall, and you wouldn't see any progression. And then you had a sophomore slump where you had your ups and your downs. This was Tyler Hero's sophomore slump. That's what I'm going to call it. Duncan Robinson, Duncan Robinson's game is kind of interesting because people had him pegged in the playoffs last year, and he didn't really grow from there. He's a spot up shooter. We know that he's not great at creating his own shot. So if he puts the ball on the floor, you're kind of at a disadvantage. Not the opposing team. We are at a disadvantage. He's going to be a restricted free agent. So it really comes down to what Miami decides they're going to do with Duncan Robinson's contract. Do they want to extend him because they can just match any offer sheet coming through, and if it gets too high, they can just let him go? Or they can, decide to match it and keep him, and maybe we can do something with him. I do believe that Kendrick Nunn will be in that situation very soon himself. So that's a familiar thing that we'll probably be seeing very soon, out of these second and undrafted players. But we're hoping that Kawhi Leonard would consider it. And even if he doesn't, our team is built to get better. We just need, I don't know what we need to do, but we need to get in someone's head and get that better. Moving on, spent a little too much time talking about my Miami Heat. I'm a little distraught that we out of the playoffs and we got 4-0. I mean, right now we're the only team it's embarrassing because we're the only team that got swept completely. I'm hurt, but I ain't dead. I'm on my grind. So, Denver and Portland, they just had a monster double overtime game in which the Portland Trail Blazers could not take the W. Somehow, they didn't get that W because Damian Lillard was not missing. you know what? It is no longer called game time. It is officially Dame time. With the game on the line, it's Dame time. He carried as much as he possibly could. I don't know what happened. I didn't get to see the end of the game. But Denver ended up being a little too much. I don't know if it was too much from Jokic. And because the thing about it is, I expected this to be a 7-game series, but I didn't expect Denver to go. I didn't expect Denver to play this well. I didn't expect any real overtime games. I expected pretty much to be regulation wins, all from Portland for the most part. Mainly because their team isn't really hurting from injury, but their real problem is Terry Stotts. As much as I like to praise him for being as good as he is, and he has been, he is looking a lot like Bubble Doc Rivers, current Tyronn Lue. He doesn't make any adjustments on the fly. He doesn't really imply that the team needs to play any real defense, which has been their problem this season. They could have finished a whole lot higher than 6th this year, but the team lacks defense. And that's not for the first time in my life, I'm going to say this is not the fault of the players. The coach didn't emphasize defense. So if Portland doesn't win this series, Terry Stotts is likely not going to be the coach of the Blazers anymore. Just is what it is. They got to find someone who's more defensive oriented. And of course, this one is probably the one I'm going to have a lot of fun with. Because the face of the league is losing to the Phoenix Suns, which I predicted. I'm not sure if I said it on the microphone or not, but I, subliminally, in my mind, I already knew that even though the Phoenix Suns are the better team, like the better unit, for whatever reason, LeBron James, because he's LeBron James, and Anthony Davis, because he is Anthony Davis, the Lakers were the favorite, even though they're the 7th seed, and they fought to get into the doggone playoffs. I don't know how that works, but I will say this. Phoenix has a 3-2 lead in the series. They are but one game away from eliminating the Los Angeles Lakers. The key to their success has been Chris Paul. That is not, you can't even deny that at this point. But I will say, I have to give credit where it is due. DeAndre Ayton, he's showing that he was the right guy to pick number 1 in his draft. Okay, because he is, as quiet as it's been, this man has been doing work. Will it be enough to take him to the finals? Probably not. But I'm just saying, the man should not be, he should not be overlooked going forward. Devin Booker, we know what he's capable of, Like, in my opinion, he is, may rest in soul. May rest in peace. He is Kobe Bryant's, if there was anyone Kobe Bryant was going to pass the mantle on to, it would have been Devin Booker. Kyrie Irving would have been it, but something wrong with Kyrie's brain. I don't know what's wrong with that boy. Anyway, that ain't the point. No one in my mind, offensively, no one in my mind in this league embodies Mamba mentality more than Devin Booker does. He's embodied it while Kobe Bryant was still playing. It's like somewhere he flipped a switch and he just never turned it off. And he's still going. After that, I'd probably say it's Damian Lillard at this point, but still. So it looks like for the next game, Chris Paul will not be playing as he did hurt his shoulder or re-injure, get another injury. For some reason, the playoffs are like cancer to this man's career. He always gets hurt in the playoffs at the worst time, too. His team needs him to, win this series, and I hope Chris Paul is going to be okay. I would love to see them play at full capacity. LeBron James is going to need Anthony Davis because, as we've seen this season, without Anthony Davis, he doesn't carry the team but so well. But what else can you expect? What is he, an 18-year vet now? He can't carry forever. He's going to need help, and the team just really isn't doing much of anything. As a matter of fact, here's a quick little something for you. Anthony Davis did not play a single minute in Game 5. And he averaged the same amount of points as Dennis Schroeder, the point guard for the Lakers. But he played 26 minutes. 0. Nothing. A big donut. Nothing. Which is strange because I'm lost. Dennis Schroeder is he trying to sabotage himself? This is his opportunity to show that he can, lead a team, that he can be a starting point guard on a championship team, and he's not showing that honestly. He showed it out. He showed it in the playoff. I mean, in the regular season, but that's not where it matters. It's the playoffs is where it matters. Because now it's time to go win that champion. It's time to win that championship, and he's just not showing up. I don't understand it. Regardless, I do have a hot take for this week, and while it's not the most impressive hot take, I'll get to that in just a moment. Last week I had a bunch of hot takes. It's been a bit of a dry spell outside of basketball for sports right now. Of course, we have the whole Naomi Osaka situation where she's decided to not play in the I don't know much about tennis, and I think it's the French Open. I think that's what it is. For her mental health, and kudos to her. Big up. Don't let make the money. Don't let the money make you. Ain't no check worth your mental health, baby. You go ahead and do your thing. As far as football is concerned, last week I did talk about Julio Jones and what's going on with him. The latest updates, and they've kind of fizzled out a little bit, but the last thing I was able to get a hold of was that he had been in, they had been in talks with the Seattle Seahawks, which that's looking like it's probably going to be the most likely destination at this very moment. That could change, even though I wasn't being so serious about it, but I'll stick to my guns. I did say he'll probably end up being a Raider at some point. Not that I think it'll actually happen, but I was just being nice. Because really, I have no idea where he's going to go. But as of this very moment, it looks like he's likely to end up with the Seahawks. I don't know why Atlanta would give him to the Seahawks, or why the Seahawks would be willing to give up a first-round pick for a guy who's been playing as long as he has. But they're trying to win. Both teams are trying to win. So I guess the hot take for this week would be kind of, I'm going to give another bunch of hot takes for each and every series. So, the hot take. I'm going to stick to my New York-Atlanta thing, going 7 games. Atlanta wins in the final game. Come on, Knicks, don't let me down. I need you guys to pull 7 games, please. The Brooklyn-Milwaukee series, that's going to be a 5-1 series as well. I'm going to give Giannis the benefit of the doubt, and this team will show up for at least one full game. Other than that, it's another gentleman's sweep. So, of course, undoubtedly, Philadelphia is probably going to end up beating Washington. That's kind of obvious. Philadelphia is probably going to win despite Ben Simmons. But if they meet Atlanta, they'll still get past it. When they meet Brooklyn, when Philadelphia meets Brooklyn, it's a wrap. Because if Ben Simmons does not step up, they've got no shot. Period. No shot whatsoever. It's just not a thing if they meet Brooklyn. And Ben Simmons is not on his A game. And by A game, I mean he's got to be ready to launch that ball from 18 feet or more. He's got to just get over whatever his issue is with shooting. He's got to get over it. That team's going to need it. Going over to the West, of course, I have Utah taking game 5. That's kind of a no-brainer. Again, I'm going to stop being selfish, but it's going to come out the same way. Dallas in 7. Dallas in 7. At this point, it can go either way, but I'm saying Dallas in 7. I believe in Luka. Denver and Portland. Oof, that one's tough. But I'm going to say Portland is going to get it in 7. Whew. I'm doing that one and I'm very uncomfortable. But I'm going to say Portland in 7. I just feel like Jamal Murray being healthy would have been such a big help here. But I feel like Damian Lillard's going to be too much in the end, and they're going to send Denver packing. And without Chris Paul, he's probably going to miss the next game, and no Anthony Davis for the Lakers. This gets evened out. If this goes 7 games, because I do think Phoenix has the ability to take game 6 and just end this now. But LeBron James is gonna be on his A game. He's gonna be carrying. So that series is likely to go 7 games. And I'm not comfortable with this. But if it goes 7 games, I'm gonna take Phoenix because I believe whether Chris Paul plays or not, if they can get one more really good game out of Cameron Payne at the 1 position, they'll take it. How far they get after that, anybody's guess. But I'm gonna give this 7 games Phoenix, either 6 or 7. I think Phoenix takes this series regardless. But LeBron will be on his A game next game, so I really hope that Phoenix is ready for a fired up LeBron. And just for kicks, LeBron's probably going to be on his all-time flopping best. He's probably going to flop. I'm going to say LeBron puts up. I'm just being funny about it. LeBron's going to put up 45 points, 10 or 12 assists, 8 to 10 rebounds, and maybe 7 to 8 attempts at flopping. He'll probably get about 3 or 4 of those to be called in his favor. I still want Phoenix in 6 or 7. I got Phoenix. So that has been another episode of Hot Takes. This is the 24th episode. Can you believe it? We're still here. Now, I have branched out a little bit. So for those who are looking to follow me in other platforms, I have moved this show also to YouTube. And as you can see right here at the bottom of your screen, Hot Takes Sports Podcast. That is the name of the channel. Please feel free to like, follow, and subscribe. Leave a comment if you will, and share the videos. You can send it to Facebook, Twitter, or wherever you want to send it. Help me grow the community. I would love you all, have you all here. I do answer my comments. I read them all. I don't have many right now, but hopefully you all can change that. So, like I said, this has been another episode, 24 weeks in, and we're not stopping. And on my YouTube channel, I hope to bring you daily content at some point in the very near future. Over there, I won't just be talking about basketball and football specifically. I might move into hockey and a little bit of boxing as well. I'm not an aficionado, but I do like to talk about boxing as well. And there may be some videos in between that tackle more important issues in the world. If you're interested in those, take a look at those as well. Those will be coming in the very near future as well. So, without anything else here to say, this has been another episode of Hot Takes, and peace, folks. See you next week.